And that's exactly where we begin. Your voice, your vote, and the two parties battling for control of Congress. Just one day before voters head to the polls, political tensions are running high across the nation. And with so much at stake this election and the House and Senate up for grabs, more than 41 million Americans have already cast their ballots during early voting. That turnout higher than the last midterms in 2018. Our team coverage continues with ABC's Alex Presha on the ground in Columbus, Ohio, and ABC News White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks in Manchester, New Hampshire. Alex, let's start with you. The Senate race there in Ohio, one of the most closely watched this election cycle. What are the candidates up to today in these final hours before polls open?
Well, Kira, Congressman Tim Ryan is spending a lot of his time in his neck of the woods, Northeast Ohio, where he's popular. He's a 10-term congressman. And so, these last few days for him have been really about kind of mobilizing that base, making his push to that base about what he plans to do for Ohio along the lines of the economy. Now, J.D. Vance, his Republican challenger, spent earlier today in Toledo and obviously has that major rally in Dayton tonight with former President Trump and a list of Trumpian supporters from all around the country.
So, Alex, former President Trump, as you know, is in Dayton right now for this rally with J.D. Vance. Ohio is, pretty important state for Trump as he considers it. Considers this likely presidential run in 2024. Talk to us more just about the energy.
Well, Kira, there is a lot of anticipation that tonight could be the night that the former president decides to announce his candidacy for 2024. I can tell you that we have colleagues that are on the ground there right now, and they've been talking to a lot of these rally attendees, and they're all anticipating that. Something else that I would note, obviously, Ohio is big, and there's a reason that Dayton was chosen, but we're seeing a lot of people that have come from Indiana, also from Illinois, specifically for tonight in anticipation of some sort of announcement. Again, it's just anticipation. There's no, we don't have any guidance that is necessarily coming, but certainly there is an excitement here in Ohio about that tonight.
All right, MaryAlice, turning to New Hampshire, the close Senate race between Democratic incumbent Maggie Hassan and GOP challenger Don Bolduc. Our 538 forecast actually showing Hassan is favored to win, but Republicans, well, they still have a real chance of flipping that seat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Republicans that I talked to feel really good. They say that they think they're going to win. This was a race that Democrats hoped would never be this close. Even though Senator Hassan won here 6 years ago by only 1,017 votes, and she said she thought it would always be close, the Democratic Party thought that if Don Bolduc was the Republican nominee, because he's so close to President Trump, because he was endorsed by President Trump, because he continued lies about the 2020 election during the primary and said some rather controversial things about abortion, Democrats thought he would be viewed here in New Hampshire as too extreme and that he would be an easier candidate to beat. But the reality is he has put up a fight. He's been doing a ton of retail politics. The Republican Party here in the state has really embraced him, and so this is neck and neck headed into tomorrow.
All right, and MaryAlice, what do you think the candidates' closing messages will be before those polls open?
Yeah, we've heard Republicans really hit the economy nonstop. They say that voters here in New Hampshire can't afford 4 more years of Democratic politics in Washington. They've especially been hitting on the cost of home heating oil and electricity. You can imagine here in New Hampshire heading into winter how important that is, how much people are really having a hard time with the fact that electricity and home heating oil prices have just spiked. Democrats, on the other hand, their final message has basically been, we know that energy costs are out of control. We know that people are paying too much, but they say that attack lines from Republicans aren't an answer. They're looking for real solutions. They kind of want to be seen as the bipartisan workhorses up here that are actually working to get things done. And I was just at an event with Senator Hassan, actually asked her about this, and she said that they really believe in Washington, Democrats believe they have to find a way to keep oil companies accountable for essentially price gouging. So a big conversation here around energy, Kira.
All right, so we've talked the messaging, we've talked the Senate. Let's talk about the congressional races now in New Hampshire there. Bring us up to date.
Yeah, really interesting. Republicans are looking to flip one, if not two, seats here. They are also neck and neck. And there could be a little bit of history made here in New Hampshire. One of the Republican candidates, Karen Levitt, she could be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress. She only turned 25 back in August. She worked for the Trump White House. She was actually sort of a speechwriter, a press secretary for him. She's been very close to the former president. She's been pressed several times on the campaign trail if she disagrees with anything from former President Trump. She says no. She couldn't think of any time where she disagreed with President Trump. She was endorsed by him, and she is polling really well, fundraising through the roof, and so we're expecting that race is going to be really close here.
All right, and Alex, the data is showing that so far more early voting ballots have been cast in Ohio than in the 2018 midterms. What do you think the biggest issues are that are driving people to the polls, making that difference? I mean, we know we've talked about the economy. What else?
Well, look here, and I'm not trying to punt on this, but the economy is issue 1, 2, 3, and 4 here in Ohio. But if you were to go beyond that, I would say that from Republicans, you hear a lot about immigration. Certainly from J.D. Vance, we have heard a renewed cry to finish the southern border wall and to shore up border protections there. And I think from Tim Ryan's standpoint, from a lot of Democrats, you don't hear some of the social issues that we hear in other parts of the country, like abortion or student debt relief, but you do hear things along the lines of our democracy is at stake. I was at a rally for Tim Ryan in Toledo just before the weekend, and I mean that was something that all of these working families really kind of pushed. They thought that was on the ballot, and that's certainly rhetoric that we've seen from President Biden, from President Obama, but these Democrats really kind of pushing and saying that this democracy is at stake here.
All right, Alex Presha there in Ohio, MaryAlice Parks in New Hampshire. Thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.